Evan Lyons, how you doing? Welcome to Net Lease TV again. Evan is with Encore Investments. We had a great time interviewing you out at ICSC in Las Vegas in around May of 2019. I just want to wish everybody out there a very happy 4th of July weekend, safe 4th of July. That's kind of the reason we're buying these net lease deals, to celebrate our independence. Really, when you get into a nice net lease deal with a long-term lease, good financing, you can sit back and collect that cash flow that's going to give you the independence, the security that you're looking for if your deal is structured in the right way with the right financing. So that's why it's so important that you have a good agent, a good lawyer, a good loan broker next to you with a lot of experience to help you through the process of purchasing a net lease deal. So one other thing, I just kind of wanted to give an update. Right now, 10-year treasury is at 0.62, Evan, compared with 2% as of June 2019, if you can believe that. That's pretty large disparity. So anyway, how you been, Evan? What's going on there in Michigan?
We're great. We're back to business, and happy to have that. It's a funky year for all, and as brokers and the finance guys, the biggest thing is we've got to chug on, find creative ways to get deals done, and really I'm sure you've experienced this yourself. The theme of the year for us has really just been that advisory role more than anything. We're getting transactions completed. We've got, I think, 17 or 18 done for June. Actually, I think maybe a couple more than that. But it's been busy, and I think the fundamental difference is between this and say 2008 is banks are lending. Right? There's a lot of debt out there.
Banks are definitely still lending for the right deals. I'm trying to close a Walgreens deal, $3 million loan on a $10 million value. Buyers doing a cash out refi. There's a lot of investors out there that are looking to do cash outs right now to gain access while we're down, as far as the coronavirus. So a lot of cash outs right now. So let's talk about this Sherwin-Williams property. Sherwin-Williams paints. It's definitely essential. The main thing that I've heard with Sherwin-Williams is it's hard for an Amazon to sell paint products. Why don't you elaborate on that and tell us a little bit about this property, the Sherwin-Williams. Where is it? Oh, okay, it's located in Walnut Beach, Florida, right, Evan?
For Walton Beach, Florida, yes. So we'll back up first and just say that investors these days are chasing assets that provide consumer goods. That's been a fundamental shift. And so that's grocery, that's convenience, that's auto parts, auto service. Pharmacy is a huge one. They've had quite the renaissance. And Sherwin-Williams, Tractor Supply, among some others, are on that list. Pet stores, another very good one. Sherwin-Williams has been rocking and rolling through this downturn for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't know that everybody saw this coming, but the residential market has been actually stellar. The Fed announcing that rates are going to be low for another 2 years has been great. I know I myself came into this year and we pulled the trigger on a refinance of our home. And I think when people are realizing, millennials for sure, are realizing, hey, I've got to spend all this time in my home. I'm sick of renting. I'm ready to pull the trigger. Or I've spent too much time living with my parents.
That's an interesting point you bring up, Evan, because probably in March, I went to Home Depot, not to go against Sherwin, but I did buy some paint over there. Or actually, I did go to Sherwin-Williams, now that I think about it. I went to Sherwin-Williams, I bought paint, I bought some other things, and just rolled one of my walls again. Having 2 kids, you're constantly painting. And then I did go to Home Depot for plants. And it was like going to Disneyland. There was a line, if you can believe it, just to get into Home Depot, just packed with people.
Everybody's got that long honey-do list of all the things that need to be done around the house, and they spent a couple months doing that. And so with the residential market being better, stronger, people buying these, you've got folks that are painting their house because they've wanted to for a long time. Maybe the empty nesters, new empty nesters want to get, they're finally putting the seal on the kid's bedroom and making it a boring gray office that they can use, a workout room, whatever that is. Or they're shaping up their house to prep it for sale. Or young people come in, move into a house, they're gonna do the same thing. So it's a project-oriented business model. But the majority of Sherwin-Williams business, or a lot of that business, is not just to the private consumer, but also to the contractor. And that contract work is always going to be there. What people like about Sherwin-Williams is, which I think has really come to light in this environment, is the relationship between landlord and tenant. What I mean by that is, in times of crisis, in a downturn, or if you're refinancing your property, you want to be able to get this tenant on the phone, right? You want to know that there's someone on the other side of that where you can have a business relationship with and renegotiate the lease, or double check on a document, or, negotiate that deferment.
Check your insurance.
100%, right? And so,
for sure.
Sherwin-Williams has one of the best landlord to tenant relationships on the marketplace, bar none. They do not often renegotiate leases, or reduce rents. In this shutdown, they paid rents at I believe all, or I'll say most of their locations. They very rarely leave sites, because think about your Sherwin-Williams near your home. You don't need that Sherwin to be main on main out in front of the shopping center, because you're not driving by going, ooh, there's a Sherwin sign, I think I'll go in there today. You're going there with purpose and intention. You're planning on a Monday to go there on Saturday. And so they don't need to be main on main. They can be in some other destination-based location. So they rarely leave these locations, because it's more about, hey, it's the Sherwin-Williams on XYZ street that's been there for 25 years. So there's value in a tenant like that.
I think my Sherwin-Williams, what I like about it, it's very organized. Their inventory is very clean. Everything's very clean. They have a coffee maker there. You want a cup of coffee, you can have coffee. They've had donuts. I've gone there before. They have donuts in the morning, and it's clean. The inventory is clean. Sherwin, I think, bought out Frazee. That's who I used to, because we own apartments, so we were buying a lot of paint for the apartments, for houses that we're managing. And the nice thing is Sherwin-Williams has all the codes of the paint from Frazee. When you go to Home Depot, they don't have that. So it's like.
Well, and they can match, Sherwin will match any paint type. You can find a paint you like somewhere else, they can do that. But people like them as a tenant. Their price points are palatable. Depending on the market, they could be $600,000, they could be $2 million, $2.5 million. In a bigger market with higher rents, they could, that could be a $3 million store. The Sherwin-Williams in Fort Walton Beach is a brand new construction building. Okay. So as compared to some of the other Sherwins we sell, they, at another site, they might have been there for 30 years, but you're buying a 1970 or 1980 building. Here we've got brand new construction. People like the benefits of the income tax free state. So we're down in Florida. Those deals do tend to trade at a bit of a premium. But this is, just as I said, it's not main on main right out in front of the shopping center, but it's just off, true to form, at a much more reasonable rent, about $27 a foot. And frankly, Starbucks is directly across the street here. This was purchased by my client from they bought it direct from a preferred developer, kept it for about a year, and are now selling it. So it was a 10-year deal. We've got about 9 years left on the lease. $2 million price point, 108,000 NOI. That's a 5.25 list cap, and we suspect this will trade mid fives. A recent comparable actually is we brought a Sherwin-Williams to market in Dallas, Texas at a 5 cap in April, in the midst of all this craziness, and we had 7 offers on the table, and we're set to close that this week at a 5.4.
You know, one other quick thing that I was thinking that really makes Sherwin, for me, is Home Depot. Like I said, it was like going to Disneyland, Evan. Huge line just to get in. Sherwin, I went down there 5 minutes. I had my paint. Convenience, it's like going to 7-Eleven versus a grocery store. For convenience, you can just drive up, go in, get your paint, get out, and go on with your life. Whereas if you go to Home Depot, it's a much longer, line getting in now. So convenience.
More contact points and all that. I'll tell you, you're correct at most times during the day, except where Sherwin does the bulk of their business is about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. The line of contractors show up, and they're buying all their paint for the day, and they're getting out to their sites. My father was a painting contractor for 15 years, and same thing. You make that early run. That's where they do a bunch of business. So as a private consumer, you might want to go at 5 o'clock. But you're absolutely right.
What time do they normally open, Sherwin-Williams? I think it depends
on the store. It's about 8, 7 o'clock. I think they do a little early.
So you're saying 2,057,000. I would say, so it's a 5 cap. So I would say you probably want somebody with like $1 million, $1.3 million to go into the deal. Put down like 700-800 grand. For me, for the financing, I would be in the 3 3/8, 4 3/8 range, depending on if we do a 5, 7, 10-year fixed with like a 25 to 30-year AM. We've got the possibility of non-recourse, 50% loan to value or less, and a possibility of interest only if you had any buyers looking for interest only. So
are you finding investors are wanting to do some type of front-end interest-only structure in this market?
A lot of investors still want the interest-only in the non-recourse. The non-recourse is becoming, I guess, in this market. Typically, at this price level, we would probably tell the buyer go with a portfolio lender. We wouldn't tell them go CMBS, just because one, the legal is very expensive on a CMBS loan, and the prepay is very unfriendly. So and normally most CMBS lenders want to do a loan 3 to 10 mil. So they don't want to do a smaller loan like $1 million to $1.3 million, $1.4 million. So this deal is prime for a portfolio lender. That being said, 50% or less is kind of the rule of thumb for non-recourse, as well as interest only if you're going portfolio. So now there is some landlord obligations with this deal, right? It sounds like it's double net, and tenant reimburses for certain things. Is there a roof warranty, and will that be assigned to the buyer? And is there any kind of latent defect clause where a buyer would want to be indemnified by the seller, or do you know?
I believe any latent defect clause would be from the original developer for a period of years is going to be responsible for the bulk of that. This is a straightforward, typical Sherwin lease, so it's not often you're going to find an absolute triple or even just a straight double net where a tenant has just roof and structure. There was a period of time that Sherwin-Williams was doing those. But as far as any of the newer construction Sherwins, you're going to have HVAC maintenance is on the tenant to a certain point or to a certain cost. Then any major HVAC replacement is going to be on the landlord.
So just a quick disclosure: anybody looking to purchase this, you definitely want to have your attorney review the lease. so that you got a good understanding of what you're going into. What else about the property? What about the area? Is it in a center? Is it freestanding? What other, you said there's a Starbucks near it. Is there any REAs, CAM, any of that that the buyer would have to consider on this deal?
Okay. So you've got a main retail corridor runs along this way, a more highly trafficked street that hits that. We're on the more highly trafficked street. There's a little less retail along there, but that's where you have your dealerships, your U-Haul, your medical facilities, auto supply, auto service along our street. It's to a T where Sherwin is looking. So right down the street, I mean, probably, I don't know if you're a golfer, but a 5-iron from this property is a Publix grocery store, Publix anchored store. You've got a bunch of other retail along there, but the rents out in front of that are going to be $35, right? And that's not the MO for Sherwin. They'd rather be just off and sort of on the way to those, to your Home Depot, to your Menards or Targets or whatever. And that's right where this sits. So you're in a good retail pocket.
Evan, let me ask you this. How long has it been on the market? How long has it been on the market, and have you received any offers yet?
So we brought this to market, I want to say 3 weeks ago. We have some folks who have driven to see the real estate. We have one offer in on the table that we're having a conversation about, countering and such. But this deal, part of the reason we're presenting this today is because we want to, this is a seller that wants to get this asset exposed, and we know that it's the type of product that clients want and that lenders want to lend on. So it'd be great for an upcoming exchange. We've got until July 15th for a lot of these folks on these deadlines, and we're looking to get this on people's lists.
What's the buy side commission?
Any broker will get 50% of whatever we've got. We always split right down the middle. I want to say our fee is 3.5.
So
4. Yeah.
3.5 or 4. So like 1 3/4 each side. Okay.
Yeah. 4.5. Yeah.
I'm figuring that right. Doing that in my head.
1.5 or 2 points to the broker. Listen, at the end of the day, we want to get this done for our client. So bring an offer with a ready, able, and willing buyer, and we can have a conversation about fee that's suitable.
How many more of these Sherwins do you think you'll have? Is this kind of a one-off deal? How many stores are they doing? And do you have a developer that's a local area developer building these? Do they plan to do more? Or is this one of the only ones you'll come to market with?
So Sherwin-Williams is opening stores. There are new developments, but one thing that has changed for delivery of new construction deals this year, COVID and the shutdown was something that has delayed some things, right? So certain assets that were pegged for this year might be pushed into first quarter, or at a minimum, folks that were expecting to deliver this summer are now, some of those deals are being pushed into, towards the end of the year. So while there are other assets out there, I mean, I'm not running with a specific preferred developer. Again, this is a client of mine that purchases from them. But we do have a number of Sherwin-Williams assets. We have a regular pipeline of Sherwin-Williams deals that range in, from $500,000 secondary market, 1980 store where they've got 30, 40 years of commitment to that location, up to the fresh 10s like this. Actually, Matt Weber, one of the brokers in our office, he's we look at him like the Sherwin guru. So he's got plenty of deals he's got something to like.
I'll have to look at
Matt Weber.
Matt Weber.
Yeah, one of the.
A lot of them, huh?
Yes.
I'll have to look him up. Maybe I'll interview him next for Net Lease TV. Matt Weber. Do you have a lot of buyers that are looking to get financing on these deals? What are they telling you as far as, what kind of leverage are they looking for? What's buyers' expectations right now? If you're in the trenches with these buyers, or, from talking to other agents or the buyers directly, are they looking to get like a 5, 7, 10-year fixed or fully amortizing, or
Sure.
are they lower leverage? What do you see out there from your vantage point?
Well, cash is king first and foremost, and folks so there are plenty of cash buyers out there, but a lot of folks needing financing as well. And with a lot of these deals, because cap rates are lower, I mean, it makes sense to, for some of the higher cap deals, it makes sense to finance some of the larger price point assets. So
I know CBS deal with you guys in November and December. I want to thank you guys again. That was an all cash deal. We rarely represent buyers, but in this case we did. And we closed that deal pretty quickly with you guys. And I want to thank you again for, helping our client out. That was a good deal.
End of December, or end of November, beginning of December, right? I think somewhere.
Right. That was a 1031 buyer that we represented. Yeah. And they just said, let's go all cash. So I said, okay, I'll represent you. And it went smooth. Everything went great.
But generally, in terms of your comment or your question about financing, I mean, folks want financing terms to run the length of a lease, right? And as long as they can get somewhere after that, right? So for this Sherwin, I'm sure you can find us good 7-year debt. That would be preferential to 5-year, and of course 10-year would be preferential to 7. And I mean, the expectation for most is 25 or 30-year AM. Some of our clients will do shorter because they want for a higher risk deal. They just want to get things paid off. They don't need to be as cash heavy, so they'll do a 15 or 20-year AM and pay it down a little faster. But you're the guy. You're the guy to help source it. So
yeah, definitely. Any buyers that you have, if they just want to quick underwriting, they want to know where rates are, what kind of loan terms, you can call me anytime, right? Or your clients, they can call me or text me on my cell phone, 760-803-6464. Don't be shy. Call me over the 4th of July weekend. It doesn't matter. I can do a quick underwriting. I dream about this stuff. I do it so often, and I've done it so long. So I can give your clients quick reaction on the financing.
Sure.
Hey, not to change the subject, but I wanted to get your opinion on something. A lot of the fast food has run into some issues. But the one thing I'm thinking, fast food with drive-thrus are actually almost doing better now. Could that be because some of the restaurants without drive-thrus are shut down, and now those people are going to the drive-thru, and the drive-thrus are benefiting from those other restaurants not being open?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. So we do, I work with a lot of operators. My partner Joe Lopez and I help these operators to structure sale leasebacks. So we'll have we'll have long lease term new deals to bring to market, but we also help them expand into new markets, link them up with certain developers in that market where an operator, just wants to be an operator and not have to worry about the construction and the real estate side of things. So we do a lot of these deals, and for a small period during this shutdown, that market, that quick service demand really had fallen. But all of a sudden, our operators, as we're having these conversations throughout the shutdown, our operators are saying, you know what? I'm good on this store. I'm up on this store. I'm at 90% on this store. I'm at, my drive-throughs far exceeding what it was. And there's been a lot of talk about ghost kitchens for years, a year or two leading up to this. There's talks about these kitchens that you can pop up in the back of a shopping center or in a small single tenant building where it's so small you don't have enough for a dining area. And is that a viable business for pickup? We bring the food right outside to you, or delivery or drive-through? And it's been a long-standing debate. Some people we need a dining area court versus drive-through only. And I think this was a catalyst that really helped accelerate that progression into drive-through, smaller stores, and I think a lot of operators have seen success in or have seen increased sales for the drive-throughs. So I think it has a lot to do with it.
I read an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal that shows a graph, right, of when, with the drive-throughs. I'll try to put that on the screen. The other thing I read in Wall Street Journal, I get Wall Street Journal every day. It's got great information. Is that a lot of European Asian buyers are starting to buy our corporate debt more aggressively. I wonder if that'll be a trend that we'll see with the net lease as time goes on. I don't know if corporate bonds are more distressed, the net lease, but that was what the Wall Street Journal was saying. European buyers are coming in a big way, buying corporate debt right now. So let's transition. Tell us a little bit about the Tractor Supply and the Hobby Lobby, and what are those deals about?
Sure. So two more deals perfect for an upcoming exchange, or even your non-exchange buyers that are just looking to add another single tenant net lease deal to the portfolio. Again, another tenant type that provides consumer goods and has really done phenomenal in this shutdown. Both actually Hobby Lobby and Tractor Supply, but to focus first on Tractor Supply, that is a new 15-year deal in Spooner, Wisconsin. Tractor Supply has remained open, operating, and really thrived through this downturn. They, contrary to popular belief, or to I guess unpopular belief, they don't sell tractors, right? It's they have feed for livestock. They have animal food. They have clothing. They have your lawnmowers and lawn equipment. There's a myriad of things they have.
Hot item that they have. I saw that. I don't know if you've seen their recent commercial, but think about what is going to be hot now. Barbecues. They were selling these. I don't know if you've seen the barbecues. I'm trying to think of the name of them, where you put the wood pellets in them. But I saw
like the green egg or
Schrager barbecue.
Oh, Traeger. Okay, sure.
You can put these little wood chips, and
smoke meat.
Your food meats and that will taste so good versus using gas with those little wood pellets. But barbecues are going to be a hot item. You really can't go out you can't go out. So your backyard, you're going to paint your house, make it look nice.
Exactly.
We buy plants and barbecues and hang out in your house. That's
100%. When wife and I are doing just that. It's you're entertaining in the back space. But Tractor Supply. You
can't drink anymore. You can't go to any bars. So you're going to be making margaritas and drinking beer in your backyard and barbecuing.
Yeah. Liquor store sales have been through the roof. That's our liquor stores have done very well. So, just getting back to this Tractor Supply, it's a unique one. There is generally a Tractor Supply is a 19,000 square foot, plus or minus 19,000 square foot new build. They only went in new construction sites for a very long time. Adjacent to that new construction site is going to be a fenced in area where they house a lot of their product. They recently, have figured out, hey, if we target former Shopko spaces, which was a competitor of theirs and are now gone, they know that they can capture and generally exceed any of those Shopko sales. So not only are they going into markets where there was a Shopko, but they are actually backfilling the former Shopko building. So they're going from now a 19,000 square foot building to a 42,000 square foot building. Which a lender or an investor might say, okay, well, that's a big store. What the heck are they going to do with that space? Well, what they've done is they've gotten rid of the fenced-in area, put that product inside, and they're utilizing the space in store. Now you have, fewer employees. You don't need them inside and outside. In a place like Spooner, Wisconsin, where you get harsh winters, folks are going to shop longer because you're indoor and you don't have any wear and tear on the product that's in those fenced in areas. So they're utilizing that space well. And then what's cool,
Evan, we have a building in Ohio that we own, and we were trying to bring them in to our building, and what they said was that you need a lot of parking. They bring the tractors outside. So they were saying in our specific situation, I don't think we had adequate parking that they required to bring all the tractors out and show them.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something that you've heard about with Tractor Supply, or.
Well, again, it has to do with them bringing some of that product outside. In these larger builds, a lot of that equipment is inside. But generally, yeah, Tractor Supply's footprint on top of the building, or building and land, is going to be, it's got to be north of 3 acres. And we have that here with the Spooner, Wisconsin deal. It's like 3.75, so sizable lot. We sit right next to the major grocer. But with this retrofit program, the coolest thing is that because they're backfilling an existing building rather than a new build. If they said, hey, we want to be in this, we want a new build in Spooner, Wisconsin, and we're going to go capture those sales. Well, if they did a new build, then a developer would require, say, a $15 rent per square foot. In this case, in all these shopcos, they're doing both landlord and tenant are putting up funds to remodel the building, and then they're doing a much lower rent than they would in the new build. So I've got a $3.66 foot rent as compared to $15 on another one that I just put under contract. So low rent and therefore lower price point for investors too. So this is a great deal for someone that has said, I want to get into a Tractor Supply, but those are always $5 million. Here's one at list price for less than $3 million.
So very conservative deal going in, which is good, right?
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for being on Net Lease TV, Evan. It's always a pleasure. You're a very inquisitive person. I enjoy hearing what you always have to say. It was great.
Thanks.
The interview we did in Las Vegas. So I want you need to like this video. All right, Evan, you're going to like it and tell everybody in your firm to like it. We want a lot of likes and a lot of subscribers. So if you can get all your associates to subscribe to Net Lease TV, that would be great. You just hit that little subscribe button on the right-hand side. Anybody watching this, hit subscribe. And if you have any ideas for future shows, I'd love to hear your input. We're trying to come up with ideas. I think for future Net Lease TV episodes, we want to get more tenants involved, more landlords. There's
the latest one you and I were talking about, which is kind of a take on getting perspective of our landlord. How can the opinion of a landlord, how brokers and mortgage brokers can be a better service to that landlord, and then tips from us, on hey,
we could have a panel. That would be great to have a panel of principals, developers, how we can help those people to be more efficient. What are they looking for in a good sales broker, buyer broker, loan broker? That would be awesome. That's huge. So definitely. The other thing I was thinking that would be really interesting is do an online convention for Net Lease. It would take some coordination, but they've got sites now, right? And it's like a convention. You can have like different booths,
meetings, and
you could have developers. It would take some coordinating, but we're going to probably be in this pandemic for a while, so it would be awesome where you could network with different agents, developers. Anyway,
we've got to get creative in this marketplace in order to compete and be a better service to clients. And I'd say too, if for anybody watching this that that is in a 1031 and has immediate criteria, one way to get our attention real quick is going to be, comment below and lay out what your criteria is, deadline, and all that. I can send some deals, get Chris involved, CC him immediately where he can fire back on a debt quote. The one thing I like about the way Chris operates is, inside of 24 hours, not 24 hours, well inside of 24 hours from the time you send him a deal, he's got a quote back that you can rely on. So,
for sure. The other thing, Evan, I think that really we're very technologically advanced and very automated. So even though there's the pandemic, I've been working throughout this whole thing. It never affected me one bit as far as giving quotes, communication, because we harnessed technology a long time ago. We've been working remotely for years now. So this had no effect on our trying to get deals done. Anyway, so last thing, how do you want them to make an offer? Do you want them to send you an email with an LOI? Should they call you? What's the best way to make an offer on these deals?
Sure. I am always, I'm a firm believer in hopping on a call for any deal, hopping on a call with the broker to have a conversation about, expectations of that seller, where we're at with buyer in terms of pricing and terms. I mean, we want to have a conversation about what the priorities are for that buyer, and structuring an offer that isn't just a piece of paper, but one that's going to be taken seriously and one that's competitive relative to what else is out there. So phone is always going to be best, 248-702-0298 is my direct, or as you are, I'm always on. You can call me 4th of July. I might be on a boat, but I'll take your call, 248-535-0354, and that's Evan Lyons.
So I want to wish everybody a great 4th of July. Please celebrate your independence. Call Evan, buy a net lease deal. Let's flex our muscle, go into net lease, and just get involved in the net lease market, finance. Thanks again, Evan, for being on Net Lease TV.
Always.
Stay in touch, buddy. Happy 4th of July.